Thank you all for coming out to this session for information on international students. We will be having Andrew Dickenson presenting this information, and I'll go ahead and share his bio information. So Andrew Dickenson is currently the Athletics and International Admissions Coordinator here at CSUB. Prior to this appointment, Dickenson served as the Assistant Director for Academic Advising in the Kegley Center for Student Athletes here on campus. Dickenson originally hails from Hampton Roads, Virginia, and has been a part of the Bakersfield community coming up on 3 years in November. Dickenson received both his Bachelor's and Master's degree from Hampton University in the major of Sports Administration with a concentration in organizational business leadership. Dickenson is a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Incorporated, and enjoys servicing the community as well as helping students learn about higher education. Andrew, can you come on and say hello?
Yes. Good afternoon, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you. I look forward to this session. I've been looking forward to it for the last couple of weeks. Just speaking with the Graduate Studies Student Center, as well as Adrian. So I'm very excited to be speaking to you today on information regarding admission processes with our international students and just answering any questions as well. I'm an interactive person, so if you have anything, definitely be able to share with me and I'll be able to try my best to answer that question. Where do you begin? Of course, the question is always, how do you get started in terms of applying for admissions here at CSUB? The first thing we always suggest our students to do is visit the Cal State Apply website. Going to that website and first reading the information from the application guide to the graduation guide, either for graduate applicants or international student applicants. This gives you a sense of what you need in terms of your requirements, in terms of the overall process, in terms of the items you'll be needing to turn in. Also, it will show you a step-by-step, in going through the CSU Apply. A lot of times we'll have questions because it is not that easy to apply sometimes electronically. Before we were used to printing out paper, writing things down, just the basic information, your name, where you're coming from, as well as possibly submitting letters of recommendation and other items, and just submitting it all at once. But now with CSU Apply, things have become easier. For us, we love it because we're able to go in on the back end and see where students are having difficulties in terms of their application process. Here you have both websites for Cal State Apply, as well as the websites in the PDF versions for your graduate application guide to give you that step-by-step process, and your international guide, just in case you have questions answering those questions on the application. Of course, what's required? Different from normal admissions, of course, for the graduate students, as well as those who have just entered into their bachelor's degree. Of course, for regular admissions, you turn in your transcripts, you turn in your letters of recommendation, you're showing them your diploma. But for international requirements, it's just a little bit different. One thing we need, of course, is your diploma, your official transcript, and your course-by-course evaluation from either WES, ECE, or an accredited institution evaluation service by NASAS. For us, this helps in terms of the breakdown. We're able to see the courses that you've taken in your home country and compare it to the courses offered here at CSUB. Our next course, you need your English proficiency. This is certainly a requirement. Unless you have taken college undergraduate in a domestic, of course, here in the United States. But if you have studied undergrad outside of the United States, this is a requirement to show that you have proof of English proficiency. Of course, you have your IELTS where you need a certain score. You have Duolingo as well as TOEFL. And also they have Pearson. Your next requirement is your passport. We will, in terms of giving you a conditional admission, we will accept a passport that has expired, but we ask that once you step into the United States, before you arrive, that you need to renew your passport. And of course, the main important things. You have your financial affidavit, and that is pretty much how you're going to pay for school. You know, who's going to be your sponsor, whether it's going to be yourself, your parents, or whether you're going to be government sponsored. Then you have your proof of insurance. This is something that we require all international students to do as they arrive to CSUB. And we also ask you to provide proof of bank statements. For international students, it's certainly different because we need to know that you will be able to make those payments. For us, the university asks that on a certain date, and it's normally a week or two before classes start, that you're able to make at least your first payment. If you cannot make it all, of course, they offer services on payment plans for international students. But for us, we need to see that guarantee because that lets us know that you'll be able to pay for your tuition. For undergraduates, it is $34,000 USD guaranteed. And for graduates, it's $30,000. And if you're in the MBA program, it is $33,000. What's next in terms of your documents? Of course, as you've been learning throughout this day, that you will need your resume or your circumvita. You will also need letters of recommendation. And you will need a statement of purpose. This is something that is guaranteed that you have to do in order to make it here into the graduate program. The question everyone always asks, what are the dates? When are things due? Of course, we are still holding admission for the spring 2022 cycle. Those dates, as you can see, will not close until November 1st. For certain programs, November 15th for others, and November 30th. We do have some programs that have closed already for the spring cycle. So that just lets you know as an international student that you have to be on CSU Apply, or you have to be on the CSU website ready and stay in tune to when things will open. For us, the fall 2022 cycle has opened as of yesterday, October 1st. So if there are programs, graduate programs that you're interested in, please, from all the information you've learned today, please reach out to those department directors, those coordinators, and get that information. When is the application due? You know, when do I need to turn in everything? It's a long process, and it's something that I will go with you over in terms of the decision, the process, what you need, and how long it could possibly take. Key questions. What happens after submitting your application? Of course, with the decision, it could take anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. And this is a normal decision in terms of admission. For us, it's key that you have all documents. You know, for international students, it's a little different in terms of issuing a conditional admission, because in terms of a conditional status, you can't take that to your embassy. You're not allowed to take that to the embassy because they're going to say you were admitted on a conditional basis. We need full admission in order to give you that visa so you can come into the States. After the decision, if you have everything that's needed, we can make a decision rather quickly because we know how important and how much you need to get that I-20. Honestly, with international students, it's a race to see who can get their I-20 the quickest. That is because depending on where you're from, you have to make appointments in your country to go to your consulate, to go to your embassy, to see when you can get into the United States. Normally, when we issue an I-20, it's normally 30 days prior to the start of school. So for those who came in this fall, of course, the start date for fall was August 24th. We issued their I-20 back in July. Back at least, letting them enter no earlier than July 24th. We try to do this because we want to make sure that we're giving you ample time to arrive in the United States to make sure that you're getting your visa just in time and to also make sure that you have a smooth transition. It's not easy being an international student coming from home to come to the States. After a decision has been made, then you'll go into, of course, your advising and your pre-registration phase. It's key that you meet with your department advisors. Coming from a former advisor myself, it's very key that you meet with your advisor. We do not want you to just pick and choose classes. I feel like I'm going to take this class this time. I feel like I want to take this. We ask that you speak with your advisors because you may be in a major where your classes have to be followed in sequential order. You can't just skip around because this class interests you. Certain classes may be offered only in fall. Certain classes may be offered in spring. So you want to make sure that you're staying in sequential order, following your academic roadmap, because you want to be able to take those classes that you need to help you reach that degree. We don't want you to say the following semester, oh, well, I didn't know this class was going to be offered. I decided I wanted to take this. Yet that relationship that you have with your department advisor is going to be very huge. For us, we want to make sure that we're setting you up with a plan to succeed. For us, it's also about making sure that you're in the right class. If there's something that you cannot take, or there's something that you are, a little bit nervous, building that relationship with your professor. We preach that over here in the international office, and as well as on campus, building that communication with your professor, because you never know when you're going to need that professor, whether it be writing letters of recommendation for you after you graduate to apply for a job, whether it's needing extra class time to go over things that you went over in class, but you didn't quite understand, or whether it's just letting them know that, I'm paying attention, but I may need just a little bit more push. I don't quite understand how you got that during class. So it's prominent, and we need that, for you as international students, when you come on our campus, to get that, build that relationship with your advisor as well as your professors in your classes. Next, our international orientation. So every year, every semester, our Director of International Student Services puts on an orientation just for our international students. And it's always the Friday before classes begin. In this session, our director, Sonia Silver, will go over everything in terms of CPT, in terms of OPT, in terms of student insurance, in terms of housing, in terms of funding. Of course, in terms of funding, as international students, you know that you cannot receive FAFSA, but we encourage you to go through the CSUB website. We encourage you to look for grants. We encourage you to look for scholarships, possibly in your home countries, that can help you pay for school. Another key thing to note in the international orientation, that it is a mandatory step. We want you to be able to learn and get things directly from our international advisor, our director. Without going to international orientation, it creates issues for you as a student. It's possible that you can get your I-20 canceled, not knowing things that Homeland needs, not knowing things that SEVIS needs. And that's something that Sonia will go over with you. As a student, as you receive your I-20, you're going to need to make sure that you're paying your SEVIS fee once you get your I-20. You're going to need to make sure that everything before you enter the US is up to date. Your valid visa, as well as your passport. This is something that is very required, because for us, we want to make sure that you get here safely. We do not want to see you get to the States and then have to return home due to issues that you did not take care of all the necessary steps. For us, here is our contact information here in the international office for undergraduates and graduates. You can always reach us at internationaladmission@csub.edu. There's always going to be somebody who's there to answer your questions, to assist you, whether you're stuck in the process of admissions, whether you need help finding something on campus. For us, we're all about being resourceful for the student. We want to make sure that all the information that we're giving you, you can use here while you're at CSUB. We want to make sure that you're not stuck in any predicaments where you feel like nobody is there for you. Our goal is to make sure that we are giving you the best student experience. That's something that a lot of students over, of course, because of the pandemic, have not been able to enjoy. It's been tough for certain students who haven't stepped foot on campus yet. We've been in a pandemic since 2020, since March. So for some students, they're not getting that full experience of being, on campus, of seeing other students, of being in the classroom setting. We've kind of trickled onto the virtual world, but luckily, as things progress and die down, we'll be fully on campus next year. We're all wishing for it. In terms of student programs, you can always email csubis@csub.edu, as well as studying abroad. For us, we give you these websites because we want to make sure that you're using all your resources. I am actually going to stop my PowerPoint and I'm going to share with you our international website just to give you a little tour of any information that you may be looking for. And here is our international students website. Of course, we'll have everything that you need: how to earn a degree, language and culture, studying at CSUB, study abroad for CSUB students, and also current CSUB international students. We talked heavily about the admissions process because that sometimes takes the longest. And that for students can be a headache because you're like, I thought I turned this in. Oh, I didn't realize I needed this. So for us, we wanted to make sure that we are spelling everything out for you so that we're always giving you this resource so that you can always look back on. When you're coming onto the website and you go to earn a degree, we're going to give you our pre-application phase that goes to the International Application Guide, our admission requirements, as well as the CSU Apply website. This will also consist of dates, deadlines, housing, meals, and other costs. Some questions that we will get is, what about housing? Can I live off campus? Things like that. Of course, there is a housing requirement for our students here at CSUB, but for certain exemptions, you can get exemptions for religious purposes and other exemptions. It's just an appeal that you have to fill out. We do not want to feel like we're putting you in a situation where, oh, I have to live on campus. They said, I can't do this. I can't live here. I can't stay with a relative that lives in the area. It's not that at all, but we want our students to enjoy the campus. We want our students to get the full experience. Outside of housing, meals, we have, of course, your tuition. And then it comes your post-application, what to expect. And then your post-admission, your I-20, your visa, planning your living arrangements, traveling to the US. We normally, even though you get the I-20 and it says at least 30 days before the start of school, get here if you can, arrive early, get yourself situated. Of course, given the pandemic, we've had students who they have to come in, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks, depending on their status, if they've taken the vaccine or not. But give yourself enough time to get acclimated to not only the campus, but the CSUB surroundings, the community. This will be your home, depending on your program length for that amount of time. So we want you to feel at home, get to learn about the culture that surrounds the CSUB community. Of course, you're here on campus. What can you expect? This will detail paying your I-901 fee. This will detail going through your immigration check-in. This will detail orientation. This will detail registration. If at any time that you are having issues, feel free to reach out to us. We're here for you as a student, and we want to make sure that we help you. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and give you time. If anyone has any questions, I am happily and readily available to answer. Of course, I want to thank you again for allowing me to speak with you. We look forward to seeing you here at CSUB. We're going to push, we're going to recruit. So don't worry, whenever you get anything, whether it's marketing material, pamphlets, emails from us, telephone calls, we're going after great students. So that's our whole point. We want you to come here to CSUB. And as you've heard in the other sessions, it's okay, you get your graduate degree, but we want you to come back, and not just stop at your master's. If you can, earn your EDD, earn your PhD, and we're going to be here to help you along the way.
Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to check to see if there was any questions in the audience. Okay, we do have one here. Can international students work on campus?
So international students can work on campus, but we ask that they clear it with our international director, Sonia Silva, first. Of course, given the certain restrictions and guidelines, you're on your I-20, your F1 student, and that is not your work visa. So we want to make sure that we're going through the right protocols. But you are able to work a maximum on campus of 20 hours as an international student. So it is possible, but we just ask that you approve it first with our international director.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Andrew while we have him here? Okay, we do have, it says, do you have an infographic with contact info for direct communication?
So the good thing about this year is that some of our graduate students are back. So, in terms of when you're trying to contact us directly, they're here answering phones, they're here answering emails. We understand the time difference. So sometimes, you guys may be 10, 12, 15 hours ahead. At random periods of time, we are up sometimes at 6, 7, 8 in the evening. And if we see that email, we'll certainly respond. But for those phone calls that come to our direct line, we'll certainly get to you the following business day.
Is there any more questions? I actually did have a question. So is international students part of the extended education global outreach community or department or division?
So it's very interesting because, of course, with our changes on campus, we are now considered special populations. So division enrollment has now gone from just admissions and registrar's office. So they're all together.
Okay.
And you have your technical side, but then you have us as university enrollment special populations, which consist of course, our international populations.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Project Rebound, Camp,
Gotcha.
EOP. So it helps because we're able to focus on those target groups.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, okay. We have a question. Do you offer fee waiver for applications?
So normally it would be a no, but given our current living conditions, we have over these past 2 academic admission cycles, we have offered fee waivers for applications for internationals, but we ask that you give us reason and cause. Some unfortunate situations have occurred with some students dealing with either themselves or their family members. So, if there's a decline in salary or somebody has lost their job, those things we ask that you send us. And of course, the appeals committee will go through it. But based upon what a lot of the CSUs have decided to do this year is offer those fee waivers if we have those certain stipulations. It's been tough for internationals because nobody has been able to reel in what they normally reel in because of the embassy appointments, visa scheduling time. Some countries, their standard time for a visa appointment is 999 days. And that's just a headache for some. It's just a lot. Yeah. It's a lot, 3 years. And, some countries are not doing emergency appointments for students.
Right.
And it's heartbreaking because some don't care for the student as much. Emergency for them may be somebody who works on behalf of the government who needs to get to certain places. So it hurts. But if you do have, circumstances that we ask that you do put in an appeal and send to us, and we'll definitely work with you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Andrew, for coming in and presenting all this helpful information.